Good morning. It's Vijay here. Today is Wednesday, 13th November 2024. Today is a very important day because today will be the final weekly settlement of Bank Nifty. So now Bank Nifty will go out of the weekly settlement and then we will only have monthly settlements in Bank Nifty. So that's very important day. Today is also an important day because you see, we are at the crossroads. Where do we go from here is the question which all analysts, traders, commentators are asking. The reason why that has happened is simply because what happened yesterday in terms of the numbers which came from the inflation and the IIP front. So that numbers have put a spanner in the works of the bullish traders. So the bullish traders believe that we are now at supports based on technicals as well as fundamentals, whereas the bearish traders believe that this is going to be a breakdown because of the poor numbers of the inflation. So let us see what is the problem actually. We will just analyze it and then I will give my own thoughts. So yesterday CPI data came, which was above 6%. The RBI is mandated to keep the inflation between 2 and 6%. 4% is what their general target is. This is the overall consumer price index inflation is concerned. So it has crossed effectively that 6% barrier. Now, this is not a real big shock to many market people, including me, who follow RBI governor's pronouncements. A few days ago, RBI governor in the Business Standard conference had mentioned that the CPI inflation is likely to be much higher than what was seen last month. Last month, we had a 5.49. So one would have expected slightly above 6. Now, whether it is 6 or 6.1 or 6.2 is just educated guess one could do. So there we saw today, there we already knew that inflation will be higher, and therefore the question of a rate cut in December, as far as the RBI governor was concerned, was off the table because the RBI, for reasons best known to them, are concentrating on food inflation, which in my opinion RBI has no control on. And they're also looking at only inflation, where also they should be looking at growth. Now, reducing interest rates will not only help, the growth in ways which people can't imagine. For instance, if you have a housing loan, if your interest rate come down by 1%, then nearly about 15% reduction is there in your outflow. Same thing with SMEs or MSMEs. If their reduction of 1%, which 15% cost is reduced, then it makes their life much easier. It is true that the large corporates have stopped, reduced their borrowing from banks. It does not make much of a difference to them. But for a whole gamut of industries and the general public, a reduction in interest rates will help because that will not fuel food inflation. Food inflation is fueled by factors outside the scope of RBI. I've been very critical of RBI's focus on food inflation. RBI can do nothing. If anything, the government of India can do by subsidizing, by giving out from the godowns food at lower prices, which they're already doing for the 80% of the population. 80 crore population is getting free food. We are not talking of free vegetables, but you can do many things which will ease this supply. Even the government can do only that much. So it's a nature's bounty which will do that, and I think it will do. Nature's bounty will create the food situation where the food inflation will come down. If you look at it, all the factors you take, food inflation is up by 10 point double digit, which is what RBI is panicking about. Rural inflation is up, but urban inflation is also up. Both of them are significantly up. Vegetable inflation, look at it, 42%. That's a huge inflation number. Then you have, sorry, I don't know where we went there. 1 minute, just let me come back to that. Yeah. Now, yeah, then we have the fuel and light inflation that is slightly down, and the housing inflation, which is almost flat. Now, if you look at what is the positive in this thing is you can hardly see anything excepting for pulses inflation. That was one one area where there was a problem. Now, pulses inflation rise has been reduced to 7.43 versus 9.81. That is the only saving grace as far as the inflation numbers are concerned. So we'll come back to that. Before that, let's see what happened to the market. Market opened almost flat, went up, tried to go up. Then the bank nifty also was quite stable, but at the last half an hour they gave up. So it is closed nearly 5-month low. So it's broken actually the supports which most technical analysts look at, and all the analysts I have listened to are all very, very bearish. The sentiment is very bearish. The volumes are very, very low. So yesterday we had what is called a buyer strike, where the buyers decided enough is enough, we will not put any more money, and that was reflected in the volumes, which was about 90,000 crores, which is probably one of the lowest in the many months. Previous day we had 91,000 crores. That itself, the NSE volume on NSE was 91,000 crores, which itself was low, but yesterday it was lower than that. So 44 of the 50 stocks came down, led by Britannia and Motherson were the top losers. Only Reliance among the big Reliance and tech stocks did well yesterday. So Sensex fell about 821 points. Bank Nifty, which was okay, suddenly slipped in the last 1 hour because obviously the insiders knew the inflation numbers will be bad, and it came down to about 70, to came down about 51,000. So 51, and then it bounced back slightly. But by and large, both Nifty and Bank Nifty have closed near their lows. FMCG continue to be under pressure. Asian Paints. I strongly believe that the glory days of high PEs for these FMCG is over, because there is competition from sources which they are not thought of. Today, nobody buys a Lux soap only. Previously, about 15 years ago, we didn't have too much of a choice. Today, we have choices from the non-established brands, and they are growing. Like you have the Mamaearth kind of products. So there are Nykaa. So all of these guys are taking away share from the major FMCGs. So all sector indices closed with cuts. PSUs and autos were the top losing, because inflation is supposed to affect the autos. But autos have already reported poor results, and they have already been beaten down, especially Tata Motors. But they're all looking forward to a better second half. And that is nothing to do with inflation, because there is no expectation of a rate cut in December, or they're expecting a rate cut only in February. That's what the RBI governor clearly hinted in this business standard conclave. That is about 4 days ago. So then what else happened? Asian Paints, Britannia, then Bosch came up with poor results. So results are not that great, but they're not that bad. So it is like what we call the curate's egg, good in parts. So banking stocks have done well, or the results are very good. Then there are some other stocks apart from banking, some a few in chemical, infrastructure stocks results are good, especially in the mid cap and small cap. But there are howlers in autos. But autos, the flip side to that is that they're expecting good results in the second half, especially because the festival season has gone very well. So there was Jubilant Foods, for instance, went up. Ramco Cements, I think the cement stocks, cement companies' performance should do well in the second half, because the government will unleash the 63% of the unutilized budget for the infrastructure, which they have promised in the previous budget. And so we have only about 4.5 months before they complete their quota, which they have said so. So market bread favor decliners. So FIs continue to do what they do best: get up in the morning, come to the sun, press the F2 button, and then go back home and sleep. 3,000 crores. DIs could not match them, 1,854 crores. So IIP came, which is not something I really look forward to. It showed that September IIP, there was a growth vis-a-vis what happened the previous month. So previous month was a negative. So these numbers of IIP are always very tricky to analyze, but for whatever it's worth, it went up. So what happened to global equities? Dow Jones, Nasdaq, and S&P broke their 1 week winning streak after the election. They were only going up, and I think they have now. I think there will be a pause in all of that. Of course, the European markets fell very badly because they had also gone up significantly, whereas we were on a different path to totally. The oils, Brent and WTI were flat. Gold fell significantly. Silver fell significantly. But I strongly believe that the bottom, significant bottom for silver and gold has been achieved yesterday at the lows, and I think we should see a rally in gold and silver. Oil, I do not know how much, but definitely I'm expecting something significant to happen as far as the precious metals is concerned. Uh, so right now we are, the mood is somber, very bearish. Everybody is looking for a gap down. Almost certainly gap down is expected because the Gift Nifty is talking about a gap down. Of course, though I don't believe too much into it, but my thinking is slightly different. There are enough number of stocks in the market, especially in the financial sector, which have, in my opinion, offering good value. But there are analysts who are talking of that financial sector will drop by about 10 to 15% from here. So I look at it as value, and if it drops 10 to 15%, then it will become deep value. So in the next few months, I expect financial sector to do very well despite the inflation numbers. I feel inflation has peaked out. I think now onwards things will be good for inflation. I also think it will be good for infrastructure because government will have to unleash that 67% of the budgeted amount for infrastructure. I also think dollar has peaked out. I also think the Asian markets now will stabilize. And I also feel that the US markets will take a breather for about few days and then they will go up. I still believe that there is a long way to go for US markets before they have a blow off top. So even in Bitcoin, I am expecting a correction. So all in all, I'm expecting correction in Bitcoin. I'm expecting correction in US markets or stability. And I am thinking that today will be a very crucial day. Opening should be somber, bad, but closing is what is important. People are talking already of 22,000. I don't know on what basis they're talking about. In my opinion, since 35% of the Nifty is in financials and another 15-20% in stocks, which have done well or going to do well, about 54-55% of the Nifty is in strong hands or at least fundamentally strong. So I'm not expecting a very big fall, but you never know. You never fight with the market. But suffice to say, everybody is extremely bearish. I am not. I will watch today. Today could be a very crucial day. Today could be a day when it will either accelerate downwards or it will stabilize and start moving up from tomorrow onwards. So it's an important day in more ways than one. I will be more of a spectator today and watch it. I am confident we have not sold any of our stocks, any of our portfolio. We have 30% precious metals, 70% in stocks. Most of it is in banking stocks and some in Reliance and outliers like Tata Motors. We plan not to do anything, just hold on to our stocks. Whatever you do, I hope it is successful. Thank you for joining.